Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Another Sunday, another opportunity to learn, to grow, and become a better person. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Call your friends, your neighbors, your relatives, church members. We are here. It's a Sunday and we are here talking AI today. Of course, on this platform, we don't only talk AI, but in this series, we're talking AI. So call your friends today. We've got a very instructive session. And I've invited two people who I find very impressive for different reasons. And I will welcome them in time, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait for you to call your friends, or everybody that you're related to. I know that this is a big weekend. My 2000, but a weekend enkulu. Because it's the end of the month, but it's not only the end of the month. It's also the weekend of Black Friday. Okay, so specials galore, traffic jams have been the roads have been clogged up because people have been shopping and doing all sorts of things. But that said, we are here, and we really hope that you all will join us, and as we have this important conversation. The festives will come and go, and then people will go back to school. And some will want to submit their thesis, some will start doing assignments, some will mess up with AI, and we are here to talk AI in academia. So call your lecturers. Let's have a proper engagement about this, so that together we learn. But of course, before the year ends, we have the Make Education Fashionable convocation happening next week. The tickets are sold out. By Friday, only the masters and professor ones, the PhD and professor tickets were available. Now they are all snapped up. We had a few sponsored tickets, and people have written in to say they are an unemployed graduate, they want a ticket, and we have distributed those also. So we don't have, we no longer have free tickets for unemployed graduates. Unfortunately, it was a first come, first served. But also exciting is that the judges have done their work in terms of judging and selecting winners for the Make Education Fashionable Awards. Remember, we've got 5 categories. In the 5 categories, we've got 6 awards, because in one category we give two awards. And then we've got the best story award that's going to be shared on Friday. So start working on your story now and share your story. Own your story. The best story is not just the story that says I passed, or I passed in record time. That's fine. The issue is what took you there. So whether you passed in record time or not, whether you got your 4-year degree in 12 years, or whether you have a story, we want that story, because it is that story that's going to inspire a lot of young people, many of whom think that this degree is ungettable. They can't get it. So share your story. It's a story of victory. As long as you manage to get to the end of that certificate, or that diploma, or that degree, or that master's, or that PhD, it is a story of victory. So what you do is you share your story authentically and well, because it is that story that's going to inspire other people to then also attempt higher education. So share your story. We've got a prize. We've got a prize for people who are sharing their story, and we are looking to inspire people All right, we are looking forward to people being inspired, everyone being inspired to take on higher education. So on Friday, share your story. Okay, the whole day on Friday. What we're going to do at the end of Friday, we've got a judging panel that's going to be looking at the stories and how they've been performing. The winner will not only win simply because their story trended. That will be one aspect, but the other aspect is the story, the quality of the story. Okay, so they've got criteria. They will take on those people who are trending. They will look at the story. Then they select the winner. I won't know who the winner is, but I'll be there on Saturday to announce the winner. And the winner, of course, will win 10,000 rands. And in addition to that, we will reimburse them their travel costs and their accommodation costs if they're from outside Pretoria. Okay, but the winner of the best story will not know until the event. So if you think your story is powerful enough, you better make your arrangements to come to Pretoria for the Make Education Fashionable convocation, because if you are not there and we announce you at the winner, you don't get the prize. You get the prize only if you are there, and we will reimburse you. If it's a ticket from Malawi, from Tanzania, from Mtubatuba, or from Queenstown, we will still reimburse you. Okay, we'll pay you. Just keep your costs. We'll pay back your Ubers, your flight tickets, and so on, and you go home again with the 10,000 rand. So not only will reimburse you, but we'll give you a 10,000 rands prize and a certificate. In these awards, we don't just give certificates. I mean, siwadla kanjani ama certificates. What's the point of winning an award and all you get is a certificate? Kodwa ulambile. Awunaso isinkwa tomorrow morning, but you won an award. That's not how we roll. So in these awards, the Make Education Fashionable Awards, anyone who wins in the 5 categories that the nominations have happened already and the judges are busy making decisions, and also they share your story, own your story, a campaign, Make Education Fashionable campaign, you get cash. And we know that you're responsible enough to spend it well. So that's what we're doing this weekend. And then next, on the weekend that's coming, on the 7th, the Sunday, it will be our last Sunday session. And what we're going to do on the last Sunday session, I'm going to talk to the winners and I'll talk to the judges as well. Just a brief conversations with at least one judge from each of the categories to tell us, you know, how it went and so on and so forth. But and the idea is so that you know how the judgment happened and so that you prepare yourself for next year. Remember, our motto here in Make Education Fashionable is that education is the greatest equalizer. Well, I have Professor Xulu online, but before I introduce him, let me tell you, I'm sure you can see I'm wearing the WUSU t-shirt, and I have to acknowledge and thank the Walter Sisulu University, Babu Tata Uyanga Mdumai, Notatu Sabelo Peter of Walter Sisulu University. Thank you for the t-shirt. I loved WUSU this year. I spent time at WUSU. I was so impressed with their work, but also with how on the ball the staff is. But here's the thing that you don't know. I like university swag. I've got a lot of university swag. So if your university has got a nice swag, let me know. Happy to buy it. Happy to buy it if it's good quality. But here's the thing. I mean, I haven't yet met swag that works like the WUSU University swag. The WUSU swag is quality. The pants, I've got the track pants, got this t-shirt, they work. I can go to my office in it and spend the whole day with it. I travel with them because they are just top class. So thank you so much, Babu Peter, no Babu Mdumai, WUSU, thank you so much. Really appreciate your generosity in giving me the t-shirts. Today, I've invited Professor Musa Xulu. Professor Xulu, I'm sure many of you would know him from seeing his engagement on television. He's a public intellectual, but more than that, he's a scholar. He's a humanities scholar. I have a lot of respect and time for him. He has 3 PhDs. Not many people have 3 PhDs, but some people have 3 PhDs, they don't use them. You don't know what is it that the PhD is about and what's going on. But Prof Xulu engage us publicly and in different universities as he gets invited. And so it's a great honor today, Prof Xulu, to have you with us on the Sunday session. I just want to make sure that everyone can see you. I'll fix that now. It's very great honor to have you. Prof Xulu, this is the Sunday session. Prof Xulu, of course, is well published, widely cited, highly respected in the public space as well as in the academic space. I mean, I'm separating the two because the academic space is not always a public university space, but it's highly respected. Professor Xulu, just a minute, I'm going to welcome people that are online. Some of them write comments, and just to make sure that all the countries that join us every week are here, and all the usual people. Queen Vivi is here. Good afternoon, Queen Vivi. Nkwekhari, welcome, my brother. Good to see you. Sechaba Murajani, Feb Academic Mentorship Program. Thank you for joining us, Sechaba. Tandeka Manana, thank you for joining us. And I can see Queen Vivi is ready for Saturday for the Make Education Festival Convocation. I look forward to seeing you, Queen. And Mapule Mdlete, welcome from Peter Maritzburg. Mapule is joining us. Welcome. I can't see my friends from Namibia today. But I'm hoping that they will join us soon. Friends from Namibia, from Ghana, from Zambia, from Botswana, Zimbabwe. Please join us. And can I tell you something, guys? Share your story, because during the week I indicated how someone who shared their story in 2018, how their life changed, their career changed. And the person whose career was changed is a Zimbabwean. Someone commented and said, why am I supporting non-South Africans? Here's the thing. The Make Education Fashionable campaign is open to anybody. If it changes the story of an African girl in Morocco, so be it. All right? You wanted to change your story, you share your story. If you don't share your story, nobody knows it and nobody can ask you to do anything. So Dr. Rachel shared her story, and therefore he got offered a job, he moved cities, he moved countries, he then came in, did the work, and this year he won an NSTF award and he became an associate professor. Good for her. She grabbed the opportunity to share her story. And I'm asking you to grab the opportunity to share your story rather than sit there and complain when other people get opportunities and then start raising their nationality. Let's grab the opportunity and share our stories. Prof Xulu, welcome. You are an academic, and today we are talking. Welcome, sir. You can greet our people now.
Oh yes, I can.
Yes.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks a lot, Prof, for inviting me. You know, I'm an AI enthusiast.
Yes.
Been moving from door to door, trying to learn as much as possible.
Yeah.
My primary background is in the arts.
Yes.
Having achieved that PhD in anthropology of music.
Yes.
And of course, then learning more about African cultures and creativity, and how it all comes together with fashion and everything else.
Yeah.
And it changed. Then I moved to tourism, cultural heritage tourism.
Yeah.
Which the way of looking at cultural economics. And then, of course, then my third one is on theology. They are related, all of them. You'll find that there is something called religious tourism, for example, and so on and so on.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, really, for inviting me here. We had a huge conference some 2 weeks ago in Durban.
Yeah, on AI.
On AI.
Yes.
And I was forced to participate from various angles in it. And then it became clear that AI is the future, is the now, and is the future. So by inviting me here, I want to thank you very much. I want to also greet everybody. And I'm not an expert. I'm reading still a lot on the subject and how, for example, because we keep writing and publishing, And sometimes you can these days write a whole paper
Yeah.
generated through AI, and currently it is able to escape many types of Turnitin.
Yeah, let's take it systematically because
Yes, sure.
I want us to focus on the good, the bad, and the non-negotiable. And I want us to
Yes.
take it step by step so that people are not confused.
Okay.
But just to let you know that some people from Lusaka have joined us. I can see Gabriel is on the line. Congratulations and welcome, Gabriel. And Prof Xulu, there's people from across the continent who participate in this platform every Sunday.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
the good, I mean, maybe let me rephrase it and say, you know, whether we like it or not, AI is reshaping the academic landscape from research to teaching and learning to writing to assessments, even to student support. But of course, just like every innovation that came to us, there comes also responsibility, because without that responsibility, things can go wrong. So, and that's why I wanted us to focus on the good, the bad, and the non-negotiable. And the good is the innovation, the efficiency, and the access that AI creates. The bad is the potential misinformation, the misuse, the shortcuts that come, and the possibility that we lose students who would miss out on learning important critical skills. And then the non-negotiable will talk about academic integrity, about ethics, and about the responsible use of AI. But of course, research shows that AI's impact in education, in fact, is not determined by the technology itself. The technology is there, but it's mostly determined by how it is used, by how it is framed pedagogically, and how it is guided ethically, and how it's supported by people and institutions. And so I invited a student, and before we get on Prof Xulu, I invited a student so that a student can come and tell us when they get into the university, what's their experience with AI from the point they register in class and so on, and then you and I can then engage, because it's in that context. And oftentimes we as academics, when we enter into conversations about AI, there's more worry about the fact that students are cheating, students are not doing their work, and so on. So I want to hear the students, and then we'll get, so I'm trying to invite Sabani to join us. Sabani will join us, she'll give us her experience, and then we'll let her go. We'll ask her questions if you have any, and if I have any, and then we'll let her go. And then we will have a conversation, because we as teachers, as academics, we are there to also support students as much as we are scholars, and are there to do research and scholarship, you know. Okay, Sabani is there. Let's see, I can hear her knocking. There we go. Sabani, welcome. Sabani. Good afternoon, Sabani. Hello.
Hello. Hi, Prof.
How are you?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
I'm good. Now, Sabani, welcome. I'm with Professor Xulu. I've already framed this. You've been very busy today, so I haven't been able to catch up with you. But I'm going to ask you to give us a sense as a student. Sabani is a postgraduate student, by the way. She's doing honors. Her university is irrelevant. Here we're talking about student experience. Can you tell us your experience with AI from the time you register, when you get into class, and how do you interact with it? How does the university encourage or not encourage lecturers and so on?
Thank you, Prof. And greetings to Professor Xulu as well. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. When it comes to AI and being in university, it has been a very interesting time, if I can put it like that, because there is this fear that I believe the universities instill on students, because we are made to sign declaration forms that, no use of AI is tolerated when you're doing research or when you're trying to find ways to complement your learning and your studying. And so the use of AI for me personally, but I also think for other students as well, is that there's this fear that surrounds AI on really what is the measure that the university uses to distinguish between ethical use and non-ethical use. And so because now this fear is instilled, most students, and myself included, we end up saying no AI at all, because we don't want to find ourselves in a position where we are suspended by the university because of the use of AI that we're not really trained on to begin with, but we are expected now to try like find a balance of not overusing it, but also using it to complement our studies. And so that has been the journey really in my undergrad as well of the use of AI.
Okay, so Sabani, are you saying even for taking notes when you get into the lecture, you don't switch on your read AI or anything? You like keeping it away completely?
Yes, well, Prof, it depends on the context. Like I said before, that because this fear of AI that has been instilled in us, it becomes very difficult now to use read AI when I get to a lecture in class, because I do not know really what is the limit or how far can I go with using AI. Because remember, I signed something beginning of the year that says, I will AI, or I will have an ethical use of AI. And so now there becomes that battlefield between myself as a student on really what is the limit or how far can I go in terms of using AI. And so such things that are meant to complement my studies then become wary. Like I become wary of using them, because now how can I trust this AI that I've been made to have fear in the beginning?
So where do you sign this? At registration, or do you sign it with each lecturer? Do you sign it at registration?
No, you sign it when you start classes. So the lecturer would come and they would make you sign. Or when you submit your assignments, there would be a last page where you have to attach to say, I declare that I have not used AI and this is purely my work.
Okay, so it's with each lecturer. So there is no space to say I used it and this is how I used it, to declare how you used it. It's only to declare whether you used it or not.
Yes, so definitely in undergrad, there isn't no motivation to even use AI. I think in postgrad, that's when they become more lenient to say, okay, declare what you have used. But undergrad, it's strictly, I have not used AI, or I have used AI, and that's it.
So which means the students who are using Notebook LM to give them summaries of the papers are pretending that they never did, right? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Prof Xulu, do you have any question for Sabani?
Thanks, Prof. Sabani, how are you?
Hi, Professor Xulu.
Yeah. No, I'm just asking, when did they start? Undergrad is 3 years, I suppose.
Yes,
then
sir.
Graduate, then postgraduate master. So when did they start with this kind of regulation of the use of AI? Has it always been there? You found it there, or
it started when you were doing third year, maybe?
Yeah, sure, yes.
When did it start?
Oh, no, it's from the beginning. From first year, I've been signing. First year, second year, third year. It's just every year type of thing when you start.
Okay. And personally, how have you felt about it? Because there must be something also telling you that outside of the confines of the university, this AI train is moving on. So how do you...
Professor Xulu, at first, as a first year student, I am not really conscious of such things. And so if I'm given something, I sign, I move on with my life, because I'm new to this environment. I'm trying to acclimatize. I'm trying to just adjust to this vastly different environment from high school. But as time goes by, and especially now in postgrad and the development of AI, when we can use AI as a tutor now, and you can use it to find references and all of that. And so now it has become such a big thing that I began to ask myself, like, but hey, man, wasn't that supposed to help me when I was even in undergrad? Because now in postgrad, they kind of like are more lenient to say, oh no, you can use AI to do this, but be careful. You can use it, but be careful. And so a first year me was not really conscious of such things, and I would just go with the flow, go with what I'm given. But as I grow, I guess, and as I see how the world is evolving, then I start to ask myself such questions. And then I get to learn that there's more to AI than what we are being told, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Sabani, I'm going to let you go. But maybe I'm going to let you go on this one. That, it doesn't matter what universities say. When you get into the world of work, you are going to compete with people who are using AI. From what you are saying, it seems to me that even during orientation or during whatever, there are no sessions where they actually teach you about AI and actually what does it mean to use AI ethically. Okay, so I see a gap there. Of course, you are in postgrad. I don't know what they're doing now with first year. But there's something, Prof Xulu, missing there. Because if I'm going to say, don't get into this room, I've got to at least give you 3 points on the dangers of getting into this room. And if you're going to get in, this is how you get in safely. Especially if access to that room gives other people advantage when they go into the world of work.
Yep. Sorry, Prof.
Yeah.
Sorry, Prof. I know you're ending this part. I think, and Sabani, you don't have to take it anywhere. Whoever gave the instruction, I think, was full of fear. Sometimes when you don't understand yourself, it's very easy to issue instructions more to cover yourself so that you don't get exposed.
True.
But I think maybe now, Prof, I think I see here at University of Zululand, for example, there's lots of workshops now for staff on the uses of AI and so on. They were very afraid of it, but I can say now people are beginning to talk about it openly.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe that instruction will soon be outdated.
Yeah.
And you just will realize that.
Or maybe tweaked. I don't know. And maybe during orientation, just like we would have a day where students, there's computer literacy, maybe there's a day of AI fluency.
Yes.
But Sabani, thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. We're going to go on with Professor Xulu. Hopefully you can join us online. If you have any question, you'll lead it in. But we'll address, because what Sabani has talked to us about, and as you rightly say, Prof Xulu, it's really about how the bad of AI in academia is informing decisions, such as the ones that lead to students being asked to sign that they will never use AI, and then discover at postgrad that actually they can actually use it, and what does it mean to use it ethically. But then those who didn't do postgrad are out there, and some of them are unemployed graduates. Okay. Sabani, thank you very much. I'll continue with Prof Xulu. So,
thank you so much, Prof.
Fantastic. Thanks for making the time. So, Prof Xulu, talk to us about the good that you know from AI.
Well, access to information has become easier, actually. And the good thing is that most of these platforms, sometimes they warn you to also double check the information. And that you will remember, Prof, when we were students, your lecturer or professor would place some notes in the library.
Yes.
Reserved.
Short-term loan.
Yeah.
My 2000, they don't know short-term loan. You could only borrow the book for 24 hours. It must be back.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was
Yeah.
like 12 hours only. You must take it back.
Yes, and sometimes you are not even allowed to take the book
Out of the library. Yeah. Sometimes it's not even a book. Sometimes it's notes.
Yes,
that the
compiled
lecturers
by the
prepared.
professor. Yes. So it was like that, and it was slow, and it suited the times.
Yes.
But I think with digitization, with the internet, it was bound that things would become. There was going to be a demand for things to happen quicker
Yeah.
than they used to, and then it's also complicated by the fact that students now have cell phones, and some of them have very expensive cell phones. So once you have those kind of gadgets and understanding of how the internet works, it could be shocking to get an instruction that you can use the internet, but don't go as far as here. So I think the students actually basically now have access to information quite easier. They can actually Google as you teach, as you lecture, and they can know more, even be able to tell you what you're about to say.
Yeah.
And that's the good. And of course, also the connectivity. I think the rest of the world is moving in the direction of high-speed digitization. And the use of internet and so on, and AI is on the advanced level in that group of happenings. So you will easily find that, because you remember, Prof, at universities they're now emphasizing on something called internationalization.
Yes.
As a part of faculties and so on.
Yeah.
So with all of that, you can't say no. Yeah, we're internationalizing, but when it comes to AI, no. Stop there. So I think the good of it is that as a result of internationalization, you find there's going to be a quest for information that flows easily. These days, you are able to talk to faculty without even talking to a person in the USA. Like I'm sitting here, I ask questions and I get answers. So it's going to help the internationalization project of universities and students. And lastly, because that information is not really created by AI itself. It's information that is there, but has been packaged in a manner that access and its interpretation and the sources where it comes from have become quite easy. You can easily write a whole academic paper in 10, 15 minutes with citations and with references, but they always warn you to also check because they can make a mistake. So what I'm saying is that is the good part, is that it simply is making information and knowledge to circulate quite easily, especially now with the AMA 2000s and so on.
Yeah, I mean, AI has been used for all of that you're saying. I've read papers where research that shows academics using it even for their course preparation. The issue is, how do they use it? That they are not just telling an AI model to produce a course and then teach it as it is. Of course, there's a case in the US where an academic did that and a student took them to court legally. We can talk about that later. But it's very helpful in course development. It can be very helpful in generating feedback for students, because sometimes you get all these, you've got a big class and the performance is bad and you want to help students, but it is not possible because the class is so big. So generating feedback for students may be useful. Of course, even to score assignments, and there's debate in all of these as to can this be trusted, can we, whatever. But what AI does, the good, like you are saying, that it does, is that it offers us speed, efficiency, it offers us scalability, but of course there are concerns that remain, and the concerns regard what you are talking about, misinformation. So the accuracy of the information, the fairness, the transparency, the depth, especially when you compare it with the human. And that's one I want us to go then to the bad, and that's the bad. But the good we can't deny. Predictive AI can enable a teacher who teaches in a township school to be able to design learner-specific interventions. Because they've got an AI tool, they can feed it with the data and it can design learner-specific intervention, which a teacher can never be able to do, even with a class of 30. So there's the good that's with it. Can help the academic be able to prepare that, but there's the bad with it. Before I move on, Gabriel Konayuma says, very strange and interesting that a university can ban AI use. It reminds me of the lack of clear guidance by academics when the internet, Google search became common. So the fears were the same when Google search came in. Yeah. Let's go on to the bad, Prof Xulu. So what's the bad how does the bad manifest? I mean, you talked about misinformation, but there's misuse. There's also the risk that students might miss out on gaining fluency in some skills that are important, especially when you go to higher education.
Well, before I get to the details of the bad, I will remind Prof and our audience that we tend to think that the past was best and good.
Yeah.
But there were cases in the past before the internet and so on, where people would simply fly to Russia or anywhere, go to the library, take out a thesis, write it in English.
Yes.
Go to another university, bam, suddenly you have a doctorate.
Yeah.
And then, but there was a time when that was not, there were no instruments to kind of find that out until the internet started coming in, and then now we have gotten it in and so on. Now, the bad side of of AI is, yes, I said it's possibility of misinformation, but also the possibility that the human writer may soon be eliminated. Because if AI can write for you, then of course it will. And then thirdly, you will find that there will come a time when students actually don't know anything, but they pass their degrees with an A because AI has written their assignments and maybe even their exams, depending, and with online kind of tuition also coming in now at universities, you may have that complication that you will produce lots of students like they do now in other parts of life, aspects of life, mass production.
But Prof Xulu, in that case, why do we only put the blame on the student? I blame the university and the academics, because the world has changed. Access to information has changed. You can't be teaching the same way you used to teach. You can't be assessing the same way you used to assess. AI is here, so you can't teach as if it doesn't exist, and then when the students copy, you just give them aces, and then they graduate, and then it's chaff from University X, and then those of us who are employees start saying, University X graduates from University X are dodge.
Yes.
Whereas the students were actually put in a situation where, of course, we expect the students to be wise and to understand why are they learning. But I expect universities also to wake up.
No, they will. They will, Prof, ultimately, and I don't think that there is an option to that. Because, yes, it's very easy to blame students, but the system itself needs to change now. What I was simply trying to say is that mass production of students may lead to the damaging of quality of knowledge. And then, of course, there could be ways of dealing with that, where you find, for example, in the past, when I was a junior student at university, almost all the courses I was doing had a written element as well as an oral element. You had to come and explain in front things orally in front of your lecturer to prove that
it's your work.
It's your work.
Yeah.
Even when you submitted thesis in the past, you used to do something called defending the thesis, where you would appear in front of a panel, which will give you questions after you have outlined the thesis. I think they're doing away with those. Maybe somewhere they're still doing it. There will have to be some adjustments in how we assess the works of the students, and also how we assess our own work as academics, as lecturers and professors, so that eventually the human element is not lost. Because AI is able to do what is called humanizer, by the way.
True.
And we are able to write so well that it's not detectable.
It's not detectable. In fact, the large language models themselves are not able to figure out who used AI or who didn't. But I think the change should also happen with the teaching. So a lecturer can't just go on with the lecture as if AI models don't exist. In fact, in the work that I do with some of the universities, departments that ask me, academic department, I say to academics, in some of your lectures, bring the AI models as one of the students. In some of your lectures, the AI model should be your co-teacher. The AI model should never be outside your lecture. It doesn't matter what lesson it is. And so you could ask students so that they don't do it themselves. Have an engagement, choose your AI model, debate with your AI model. This is the topic of your debate with the AI model. And then report on the debate. But you are already telling them to use the AI model. You don't pretend it doesn't exist, right? Or ask your AI model to do coding that can develop this and that, and then evaluate it. Tell me what kinds of errors you found in the code, and then tell me how you corrected the errors. And by the way, I'll be asking you that because I've already tried it, and I know the errors that the model will make. So, and sometimes I'll prescribe the model, sometimes I don't. I mean, Google has now made the Google, whatever the enterprise version, free for students across the African continent or across the world. I can't remember. So actually, we don't even have to subscribe because now they've given us zero subscription for someone that was going to cost us 400 rands per month or something. And so as a lecturer, I can say, ask this model for the code of this, correct it, tell me what was wrong with the code and tell me how you corrected it, rather than them cheating and developing the code with the model and then pretending that it's theirs. So what I'm saying is that the academics should change their teaching approach and always assume the AI model is in the house, in the classroom or as a co-teacher. Then the students can't be cheating. And then, in fact, we can talk about it in class. Like, so why did you choose Perplexity and not Copilot? And then they can argue about, no, Copilot is good in coding, but Perplexity is not. Or Grok can code, but Copilot can code. You know, something like that. And I think because we pretend they don't exist, that students start using it secretly, and then they pretend that it's their work. We've got to put it on the table, in my view.
No, I fully agree with you, Prof. What usually happens in life, if you start with prohibitions, and you open the space for cheating, and academia will have to be the first ones to embrace artificial intelligence, not only to accept that it exists, but to go through, these short courses regularly, and because it changes every day. It changes every day. It does. I remember when I first started teaching at university, because we're used to writing by hand. You would write the whole thesis by hand. get somebody else to type. Now they start giving you get to your office and there's a computer. In the beginning, we would shake because, hey man, how do I type? I can't even type, and so on and so on.
Yeah.
But later, you find that you needed the computer to be able to do the work faster yourself.
Yeah.
And then came the internet and so on and so on. But every new thing that comes is introduced is always it always also instills fear, especially to the conservatives. And you know, Prof, with all due respect, the academic world is one of the most conservative worlds
It is.
around.
Change averse.
Yes, yes. So I think it will be very important that universities make sure that there is regular, even quarterly, especially in the beginning, short courses, 1 day, 2 days for academic staff, as well as non-academic staff, for all staff, in fact, because who compiles the marks is there at admin. If they have not mastered this whole thing, you'll find that student marks are captured wrongly and you know, sometimes they are even manufactured through AI and all of that. So it must be something, as you are rightly saying, Prof, that is there even in those orientation weeks. So we've entered, because when they go to the world of work, I can tell you, it's going to be a big challenge.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree completely. I think the orientation program should have an AI fluency day, whichever way they structure it, for all students who coming in, who are introduced to AI policies of the university, but to AI, and then to the policies of the university, the way the university takes AI and so on. I think the Teaching and Learning Development Center or Academic Development Unit of the university has to have development programs that focus on AI to support academics. Yeah, so that there's development courses, like you say. They don't have to be heavy, but at least academics are supported. The things that I'm saying, how you can change the way you teach. Teaching and learning in the age of AI. That's the module, university colleagues. That should be there at the Academic Development Center or Center for Learning and Teaching or Center for Higher Education and Development, whatever your university calls it. It should be there so that new academics, but also the experienced academics, can come in and learn how to teach in this age of AI. I think the research department should have AI modules, AI in research, so that so that we don't only come up with these things, declarations and commitments to sign. I will not do this, but you actually don't even know the strength of this thing. So I think that's important, because teacher's role, how the teacher uses or the academic uses AI is important, because actually it can be very useful, frankly speaking. AI is not the devil. I want it in because it can be very useful. We are research strapped. Many universities, especially the previously historically disadvantaged universities, people have so much to teach, so many classes to teach. There isn't enough staff, so they can have a proper assistant, but if they know how to use it, then it makes it easier, rather than just wing it. Everyone is winging it the way they want. But there are other bets, because the other bets, I mean, we're talking about the teacher's role and institutional preparedness. Many institutions are not prepared about this. And we've heard from what Sabani was saying. The other bad of AI in academia is the over-reliance on AI. Sometimes there's an over-reliance. What could the over-reliance, what are the risks of over-reliance, Prof Xulu? I mean, as much as I say it's great, we can use it, it can produce, can do data analytics for us to be able to prepare our next course, or even to know what's needed in the discipline. If I'm teaching business management, I shouldn't teach it like I did 20 years ago, 10 years ago, or 5 years ago, because the world has changed. It can help us with analytics of how the world of business management has changed, and therefore help me structure what do I include in the curriculum. What are the other sort of challenges of over-reliance on AI?
Well, there is also the issue of intellectual property,
Oh, yeah.
the actual ownership of the
Yes.
knowledge.
Yes.
There's going to be lots of problems there. They have started already. I think, acknowledging the originator of the knowledge may very soon become a gray area as the more we use AI. It has started already. There was a case with Professor Musa Xulu or something like that.
Yes.
And you'll find that they may be able to actually, because now most of what we publish is also on the internet now.
Yeah.
It can interfere with what we have already published and make it look like it is its own, or for example, we publish a paper and you find that after some time it appears as having been published by somebody else, or they write what you wrote, but they do not acknowledge that it's actually information or knowledge that was created by you. And that part will be very bad, because in terms of intellectual property, then it may have, for example, very dangerous consequences for created works, literature, and even academic papers, where you find that you write and write and write, but then all credits go to somebody else, which is maybe even be fictitious, a person, and so on. So there's a risk which I think we'll have to. But another part, of course, is that there must be a balance now between the arrival of artificial intelligence and the library, the university library. The university library will need a research to be able to respond to this massive attack, information attack.
Yeah.
The last very bad aspect of AI, if it's not checked, is that it may actually in future replace the physical lecturer. Maybe only retain your voice, but not your actual person. It's already happening. So it's something that to look at as we configure what needs to happen in academia in relation to AI.
Yeah, I think we should. I would like to talk about that, about the future, whether there's a possibility that it can replace the human lecturer, but we can talk about that at another time. I think many people might not get the point of Xulu, by the way. It's not that his work was stolen. It's the fact that OpenAI used 6 of his books together with another 30 all over the world to train GPT-5. So that when I say to GPT-5, write me this thing in the style of Xulu, that it knows what the style is, right? And that's where they were taken up on. But of course, as you say, the over-reliance on AI is seen with plagiarism, where people just reproduce your work. But also in terms of the lecturers themselves, when they give feedback to students, you can find that there's superficial feedback. Or even that students stop thinking anymore, that there could be an erosion of critical thinking and self-regulation skills, because students just ask GPT. And that's why for me, teaching and assessment, the change in teaching and assessment is important. The stuff that you were suggesting in terms of oral exams and so on are important. So the successful integration actually of AI in education must actually go hand in hand with a strong pedagogical foundation, with proper attitudes of lecturers, professors, teachers, as well as students. And it must also include ethical awareness, because without that, then we run the risk of eroding the kind of education that university offers. Sichaba has got some questions on the line. for you. She says for Prof Xulu, I'm going to read that, but I wanted us to end the session. I'm going to ask people to be patient with us, because I'm interested in, we talked to Sabani about what they're allowed to use and how cautious she was. She's now in postgrad. But frankly speaking, many research students, masters and PhD, struggle with knowing how to use AI, and they say, but I've used it, but it feels like I'm wrong. What do I do? I don't know if you have any suggestions, Prof Xulu. I've been giving this matter a lot of thought, and I do have some suggestions in terms of how students, certainly those masters and doctoral students who are on my mentorship program, it's a way I tell them how to use it. But I'm interested in your idea. How would you advise a master's or a PhD student who says, of course I've used Perplexity or Copilot in my development of the literature review, but now, I mean, should I lie and pretend I didn't use it? How should they acknowledge using it?
Yeah, that's the ethical aspects of it.
Yes. That's the non-negotiable. In my view, that's the non-negotiable.
Yeah.
You can't use this and pretend you didn't use it. It's non-negotiable.
It could go, Professor, to back to the university policies.
Oh, yeah.
Where instead of saying don't use it, they say do acknowledge that you used it in this way and this way, and so on. For example, I've seen that literature reviews you can do in a matter of minutes.
Yeah.
On a subject that is given, and for most of the time, it's very accurate, and it actually opens you to literature that they had never seen before. But I think they are correct when they say they feel guilty because they think that maybe they did not actually
do the work.
Yeah. And it becomes a problem. That's why I was saying earlier that maybe if we can go back to defending your dissertation or your thesis, so that you can face questions, oral questions, and so on. But I also found that because of the fastness of time now, it was easy to take time off work 1 or 2 years to go and read for a master's and so on, and they are doing nothing, and you don't live there. But I don't think that it's becoming lesser and lesser attractive to do things in that way. So what is likely to happen is that I think we go back to the issue of ethics, be open about it. Even if you go there to defend your thesis, you are open about it. You know, here I used AI, and then the editing aspect, which must really be done by yourself, not get this and then send it to some editor with an editing certificate who may not even understand the subject. I think university can also, emphasize that if you are doing master's or doctorate, you must start also a short course on editing in your subject, because some of these editors that students go to don't know the subject. So, they just look for grammar errors and so on. That could be a solution, Prof.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. I mean, I actually want to go beyond that, because I think, I actually think it is scholarly to own up to all the sources that you used. Yeah. So actually, our masters, our postgraduate students should be taught what is scholarship. Scholarship doesn't mean you are a best scholar simply because you didn't ask anybody. And even before AI, we, in our methodology chapter, I had 2 methodology chapters in my PhD. Even where I owned up as to how I dealt with the data. Once I had the data, which version of the data did I analyze? The data where people are speaking their languages, the translated version, how the translation happened, because I felt that shapes the analysis that comes out of that. So now I think actually, I say to students, you can use AI models in different ways. You can treat it as your research assistant. and send it around to find the latest publications in this area or the top cited publications in this area of your study. Then it can give you the papers, and then you can click read the papers yourself.
Yeah.
And after that, you can say, okay, give me summaries of each paper or whatever. Okay, and you will have to be clear with it. I need the list of papers published in this area of study between 2000 to date, the most cited research papers, so that it doesn't give you other papers, it gives you only research papers. And you can even indicate in top journals, and then you can evaluate are these top journals that it gets to. Then you can indicate in your thesis, this is how you started. You started by asking it to get you this. This is the prompt that you gave it. From there on, you read the papers. After reading the papers, what did you do? Like, I would like a chapter in every master's, honors, and doctoral students, a chapter on how they used AI models in their studies. I want to assume that each one of them uses it. Actually, if they don't use it, I want to make an assumption that they haven't been very efficient. Because using it doesn't mean you are asking it to write the literature review for you. You could ask it to fetch the resources for you. You could then read the resources, prepare your literature review, and say, critique this literature review that I have written. You're asking it to critique your literature review, and then it gives you a critique and how you can improve it, and then you improve it. And I would think a student who shows a more scholarly way in approaching how they used AI, that would be impressive, rather than one who says, I just asked it to write a literature review, this is what it did, I then evaluated the literature review, and then I cut and paste. I think that's problematic, because we do want engagement. And I always say to my mentees, be smart about using AI, so that when you get your master's, your honors, your PhD, you can stand up proudly and say, I am a scholar. I'd rather be accused of being academically arrogant than being a low-level academic who flaunts a PhD but can't even write a literature review as GPT. You can learn from the process by taking it as your assistant. That's helpful, rather than handing it over to write it for you. Because as Prof says, sometimes it can get some references wrong. You are not even aware. And if you have an examiner like me or a supervisor like me, then you are in trouble. Because then I'm going to find out. And that's when you fail.
Yeah, no, it's like that, Prof. It's like that. It's like that.
Yeah. So Chaba is asking a question here. I'm going to read the question that Chaba says. He says, the academics need to upgrade assessment methods to be ahead of current technologies and not penalize students for using resources available to them. I realize that I'm jumping the gun, but I would like to hear Prof Xulu's view on the following question. This question, honestly, is for my grandkids. The non-negotiable, he says, in the dystopian setting, the non-negotiable, double dot, in the dystopian setting, similar to how COVID-19 people lost jobs due to not being vaccinated. How do you see workplaces being regulated and remaining ethical? In the context of technologies such as Neuralink, example, employer A says to our graduates, graduates are required to be Neuralink enhanced as a prerequisite for employment. Could that be possible ever? Is this a non-negotiable? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it possible that we'll get to that point where an employer says, well, every graduate that we employ must be Neuralink enhanced?
Well, Prof, you must remember that outside of government, the employers are looking to maximize profits.
True.
They're not going to employ you because you are good or you look good or you are black or you come from some kind of background where they must have compassion for you.
Yeah.
So that's likely to be possible in the oncoming future as the workspaces, places of employment become more and more technological and more leaned towards artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
If I was a student today and preparing to go to the workplace, I would emphasize that even if it's an informal course, I taught in artificial intelligence, even if I'm not getting any marks for it, because I can tell you sooner than later that you did psychology 1, 2, 3, or that and that, mathematics and all of those things. If it's not backed by this practical knowledge, it's going to be meaningless.
Absolutely, absolutely. By the way, Neuralink is when you enhance your mental cognitive capacity. You increase your memory capacity, your cognitive abilities, and the ability to interface with AI. That's when there's things implanted in you to increase your memory capacity. And Chaba is asking a very controversial question, whether employers in the future could actually demand that people are graduates are Neuralink enhanced. But I mean, you can imagine if Chaba is thinking about that. I mean, Chaba, here's the thing. What would it mean to have students in your class who are Neuralink enhanced? Because you are in the same class, some are Neuralink enhanced, some are not. Can universities outlaw that, or can they make that a requirement? I mean, I think that's a question for the future. But as Prof Xulu says, this area is advancing so fast. Very soon, the debate about Neuralink enhancement will be here with us in the real sense. But in the moment, we are still battling with the small issue of universities outlawing AI and how you use it, how you own up. So I think the sooner we get on with the program, the better, you know. Prof Xulu, I want to draw to the end of the session and go to your concluding remarks. I mean, we talked about the good, the bad, and the ugly. How do you conclude this? If someone is sitting with us, maybe they're an academic, maybe students, maybe an executive, how do you advise them in terms of moving forward?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing to do, Prof, is to embrace the reality that AI is with us now.
Yeah.
I read an article by one of these computer guys, where he was saying that, what is happening is that we could spend too much time fearing it and focusing on its negativity while it is moving on, actually. And that maybe we should be encouraging ourselves and the students and everybody to embrace it and then critique it from within the AI space. And then secondly, I think it's going to be very important that universities accept that and then look at how they regulate it, but not in a manner that says, students, this thing does not exist, it's very dangerous to you. Because as soon as they graduate, they go out there and they'll find that actual AI is dominating, and how do they work?
Yeah.
And then thirdly, of course, academia, administrative staff. The university must be an AI space where generally everyone talks about it and everyone is into it, and everyone understands the good and the bad of it. And I think that in my parting shot, this has been a very good exercise, and thank you very much for inviting me. And I think I grew. I'm going to be even more enthusiastic now. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Prof Xulu. Let me thank every one of you who joined us today. But here's my parting shot. I mean, AI tools, there's no doubt that AI tools can meaningfully enhance student engagement. So my advice to everyone in academia, from the junior lecturer students to the top professor and executive, we should not shun AI because it can meaningfully enhance student engagement. It can support innovative assessment practices, and in fact, it can promote new forms of interaction and feedback. The key is how you use it, because of course, as much as it's good, it raises critical questions about ethics, about even the preparedness of teachers, academics, and institutions. So if your institution or your department hasn't engaged on how you use AI and you are pretending as if it doesn't exist, you're going on as you have done the past 5 years, you are lagging behind. And that's the work that my company does with many departments to help them get on with the program. What we need in academic institutions is an intentional, human-centered approaches to AI, rather than outlawing AI. We need a situation where innovation is guided not just by what is possible, but by what is educationally valuable. And AI brings a lot of value, okay? The bad that it brings, we need to find ways to manage it. And that's why we need policies at departmental level, even at institutional level, even at country level. We need those policies. But in the meantime, whilst we're developing that, it doesn't help to outlaw it. When you outlaw it, you make students figure out ways of using it without you figuring it out or finding out. So rather, bring it in and let us teach your academics how to use it creatively to make sure that it makes cheating using AI difficult. How to use AI in teaching and learning and research that puts it on the table rather than hiding it and finding clever ways of not being found out. I hope you have found it useful. Thank you so much to Professor Xulu, to everyone who joined us. Dr. T, I can see you, and I can see everyone else who joined us from across the continent, across the country. Thank you very much. I'll see you all at the convocation on Saturday. I'm going to be there at 10 o'clock for the pictures and everything. Once the program starts, after the procession has ended, we're going to be focusing on the winners, and I won't be taking pictures with other people. I'll only be taking pictures with the winners. But before then, before 12 o'clock, I'll be there taking pictures with everybody. We're going to have fun. We're going to cement the place of education as an equalizer. We're going to network with the right people. We're going to say this is the place, this is the way to celebrate success. So I'll see you again next week. Otherwise, I'll see you again online on Sunday if I don't see you at the convocation. Thank you to Professor Xulu. Thank you to Sabani. Have a good evening and have a good week. Bye-bye.